Hey, it's Jason Creel, and I want to tell you about my experience on one particular yard where I fought against crabgrass and the crabgrass won. I can tell you about it, my mistake, and a mistake that a lot of homeowners make, and I'll tell you how to prevent that. Stay tuned, you're watching the Lawn Care Life YouTube channel. You know, one of the things I hate doing, but sometimes you have to do it, is you go to the customer and you admit that you screwed up. You know what? I made a mistake on your yard. I apologize. It won't happen again next year. And if need be, you might even have to refund their money or offer them something free. You know, whatever you need to do to make the situation right. Sorry, the sun's in my eyes, so if I'm squinting a little bit. But anyway, I want to tell you about the mistake I made with crabgrass. I know it's a weed that a lot of us battle, and I want to talk to you about crabgrass. I want to show you some crabgrass and then tell you about the situation, what happened, and how we can prevent it from happening in the future. All right, let's check out some crabgrass here. So you see this little patch of crabgrass here in a Bermuda lawn. Now this isn't the lawn I'm talking about that I messed up on, but you know, if you've got a Bermuda lawn that has a little patches of crabgrass here and there, it's not terrible. It's not great, but you know you might can approach that from a post-emergent standpoint. And I've done videos on that. You're looking for a product that has quinclorac in it. The main one I've been using is called Solitaire. There's others out there that can control crabgrass from a post-emergent standpoint. Now, let me say this about that, and I've said this in general about weed control. It's the general principle that weeds are much easier to prevent with a pre-emergent, if that's possible, than it is to control them with a post-emergent after they're already in your lawn. That is very, very evident and true for crabgrass. So crabgrass is basically, it can be a nightmare to try to control once you have it in your yard. Like I said, if you've got a few patches of crabgrass, that's one thing. But when you have a yard that's totally covered in it, mature crabgrass in the middle of summer, one, the products that you have to use to control it with are expensive. Okay, so that's a problem. And two, what I have found is when they'll have the rates on the label, you know, it'll say, for instance, let's just give an example. If you were using Solitaire, I don't remember the exact numbers, you can check the label, but if it was something like, you know, 3 to 9 ounces per 1,000 square feet to control crabgrass. Well, let me just tell you, if you're using kind of the middle rate, you're probably not going to get very good control. You need to be up closer to that high rate of on the label to get crabgrass control. So you're talking about a very expensive application to get rid of crabgrass. And when it gets late in the summer, early fall, I mean, I'm just encouraging people to let it die off. I do understand that, you know, maybe if you live South Florida or places like that, maybe it never gets cold enough where the crabgrass doesn't die. But if your crabgrass dies off in the winter, let's just let it die late in the summer, and we'll try to prevent it next year with a pre-emergent, which is much easier to do and much cheaper to do. So, all right, so my mistake with crabgrass. All right, I put some glasses on. It's getting bright out here. So here's my mistake with crabgrass. Here's what happened on a particular customer's yard. All right, just some basic understanding here of what a pre-emergent, how it works. So the pre-emergent, you put it down before the weeds germinate. Okay, now some pre-emergents have both, you know, products have both a pre and post-emergent activity. So for instance, you know, I've talked about using Dimension for crabgrass control. So in my area, the crabgrass typically germinates around March, you know, 15th or so. Now that can vary depending on the weather from one year to another. So when it gets past that date, so if I get a new customer late March, they've not had any kind of pre-emergent put out or through April, then I'm switching over using Dimension, because Dimension has both pre and post activity on crabgrass. So if you have baby crabgrass is just, you know, just has germinated, is real small. It can not only prevent new crabgrass, it can actually kill the baby crabgrass. Well, the product that I'm normally using before mid-March is called Resolute, which has Prodiamine in it. Well, Prodiamine does not have a post-emergent activity on crabgrass. So if you put it down after the crabgrass has already germinated, then you are basically wasting your money. I mean, as far as crabgrass control goes. So that's the lesson I learned. And let me tell you what happened. So this past year, like I said, the date can vary, and depending on what region you're in, it's going to vary. So if you're further north, you know, I'm in north central Alabama. So if you're further north, then the crabgrass is going to germinate later. If you're further south, it's going to germinate earlier. So you need to understand the date for your particular region, and like I said, it depends on the weather. When that soil temperature reaches a certain point, boom, the crabgrass germinates. So your pre-emergent needs to be down before then. All right, so here's what happened. The day, and I went back and looked. I went to a customer's property the other day, looked at his yard, had crabgrass all in the yard. A new customer this year, small yard, and I thought, man, what happened with this yard? I mean, you got crabgrass all in the yard, and it's, you know, it just looks terrible. So I had to go and talk to the customer, apologize to the customer, say, listen, I'm sorry, what happened? And so I went back and looked at my records. So when did I put out the pre-emergent on his yard, and which pre-emergent did I use? Well, like I was explaining to you, the difference between Prodiamine, just a pre-emergent for crabgrass, okay, no post-emergent activity. If you think that the crabgrass has already germinated, but it's still in a very small baby form, then you switch over to Dimension, okay? Well, the date I sprayed his yard, brand new customer, got his yard on March the 16th, first application. March 16th, so right there at the deadline, you know, for kind of, you know, at that in-between time. And so I basically took a gamble thinking, and why would you take a gamble? One, Prodiamine, if you got a lot of customers have Prodiamine in the tank, I think, you know what, I think I'm still good. I don't think it's gotten warm enough. It should be fine, you know. So I don't need to switch over to Dimension yet. Dimension's a good bit more expensive. Not that you won't spend a few more dollars to get good control. If I would have known, you know, then what I know now, then I would have used Dimension. But obviously I thought I could get away with using Prodiamine, and it didn't work. So I put Prodiamine out on March 16th, and come, you know, later in the year, his yard is covered with crabgrass. So obviously the crabgrass germinated before March the 16th. Now next year I might put it down March 16th, be totally fine. Now guess what, I'm not going to do that next year. I'll be putting some pre-emergent out in January. So anyway, you're not going to have crabgrass next year, or at least, you know, very little, if any. So I went, you know, talked to the customer. He's fine with it. He understood the problem, and I told him it's my mistake. But I can tell you this: next year, what am I going to do different? Well, if I get to March the 16th, I get a brand new customer calls. You think I'm going to try the Prodiamine or the Dimension? I'm going to be switching over to Dimension a little bit earlier next year, because, like I said, crabgrass is a real pain to get rid of once you have it. It's not that difficult to prevent, and I would rather spend, you know, and yes, the post-emergent products are expensive. Dimensions is more expensive than Prodiamine, but Dimension is not as expensive as the post-emergent standpoint, and it's just much easier if you can prevent it with Dimension than trying to get rid of it later with a post-emergent. So anyway, learned my lesson. You know, took a chance. I need to just back that up a little bit and say maybe early March I'm going to make the switch over to Dimension. You know, and if I'd have been a week earlier with my that'd be interesting. I could go back and look at some new customers that got early March and see, you know, exactly what date did it germinate. You can almost pinpoint it to the date, because I can say sprayed this yard with Prodiamine, had no crabgrass. 3 days later, sprayed this yard with Prodiamine, is full of crabgrass. So it basically, you know, had a warm couple of days there, soil temperatures got up, crabgrass germinated. I got big problems, got crabgrass all in this yard. So learn my lesson. Hope you can learn that. If you're a homeowner or you're doing yards, you know, you got to get that pre-emergent out before the weed you're trying to kill germinates, or it's going to be a headache to get rid of later on. Hope this helps. Thank you.